Okay, so you can start. We're not recording all the way yet. Just started with. All right, guys. Camera died. Part 2.
All right, guys.
This was you walking past his door. Just like conveniently, he sees you.
Okay. All right, guys. Part 2. Our camera did die.
Wait.
All right, guys. What's going on? Part 2 here. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're back in action. I wanted to talk to you guys about what happened when I popped out of my my floor. And I'm walking past the door, and I see a 6'2" tall dude ready to fight me. I'm sitting there, and I already know, right, just from the note that he left on my car and the words that he mentioned to me walking down the street, like in the hallways, that he's looking for a fight.
Okay.
He sees me. I'm wearing shades and a zip-up jacket, and I have a baton on me because I'm afraid for my safety.
Okay.
Right? Here's a 6 foot tall dude. I'm 5'6", 5'7" on a good day. And I'm actually like nervous. I'm not really calling anybody for backup. And yeah, so he sees me and he tries to come up and say, "Yo, let's get this started." I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Let's do it. Bring out the baton, get ready." The guy buckles and he's like, "Oh God, what the heck is this?" And he takes his Nokia flip phone out, takes a picture of me, runs back in his room. So me personally, I thought this is it. I'm done, right? Like that's all I need to do. I just need to scare him.
Yeah.
Poke the bear a little bit. I go downstairs from the 4th floor, get to the lobby, and I'm making my way out of the lobby and out of the elevator. On my way out, pops the same dude. He sees me again, but this time, so just so you guys know for the future, if you ever guys get into a scenario where there's a robbery or something and there's an altercation, make sure the CCTV see that you are an innocent bystander in that scenario. And I know you guys are good people, so you're not, you guys are not clearing crimes or whatever, but just be aware of your surrounding cameras because it can be beneficial. I worked security for 4 years, so I know that there's cameras everywhere. So I know that if I do something stupid, I'm gonna get caught for it. So I'm trying to leave. Buddy follows me and gets right into my face, and he's like, face to face with me like this, and he's like, "Yo, like, what are you gonna do now? I'm in your face. I'm gonna knock you out. I'm not gonna knock you out." And I'm like, "Buddy, chill out." And I move past him and I go to grab a door. As I grab the door, I feel a nice sharp kick in the back of my knee. Boom, side kick, another kick, and I'm like, okay, so it's on. So I turn around, boom, punch. He gets me right in the face, and he tries to throw another one. I dodge that second punch. So I get clipped 3 times, and then finally I throw my first 2 punches back. We grapple each other, and we're just manhandling each other. But guys, at the time, I'm 5'6", probably 5'5", 125 or 135 pounds, right? This dude was 6'2", 210 pounds easily, grabs me and managed to get me on the floor, and we're wrestling. The weirdest thing that happened was he tries to pants me or grab me from whatever angle, and I don't know where the angle was from. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, like this is so weird. I know you are a mess in the head, but my mistake is that my baton flies out on the floor, right? Everything drops. So my wallet, my ID, everything drops. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh God, okay, what do I do? So I managed to get myself back up on the ground, still wrestling this guy, punch him in the face once more, and I grab my sunglasses and my wallet, but he grabs the ID. So I mean the baton. So he grabs the baton and unleashes it.
You grab your wallet and sunglasses before you grab the weapon.
Yeah, I in that moment, the first thing I thought of was what is closest to me. The baton was the furthest thing from me. So I grab these 2 things, and he grabs the baton, and I just first think, okay, it's war. So I'm getting ready to fight with him, and then he unleashes the baton. I'm like, oh God. So I run. I move back to the exterior outer portion of the lobby, and he yields the baton, and an older woman is coming into the building, and he basically yields it and actually attacks. I dodge it. He hits the woman, but it's only a side hit, and he hits the wall, so it's all right. She kind of drops down startled. She's carrying a grocery cart going into the building, and we're like, yo, what the heck? So I run outside even further, bait him to come outside. I run back into the building the same way that he ran out, and I go to the property management office. So I know that there's something wrong with this guy because he follows me back in, and with the property manager and the assistant property manager there, he tries to break down the locked door, right? So clearly this dude has a problem. And it's my first time ever meeting this dude. Like I don't know him. We don't have any past history. So wherever his anger was coming from was clearly misguided, and it just, there could not have been words that I could have said that could have made him feel that kind of emotion. So
literally the worst person you can encounter in an altercation is somebody with that mental health you know, and you know you smell alcohol on him.
Yep.
Like an intoxicated person with a mental health issue, when they're trying to fight you, like try and avoid it as much as possible, because they have, in their mind, they have nothing to lose, while you, a sane person, has everything to lose. You know, so it's very dangerous.
Man, listen, guys, please listen to what Theo is saying, because that is facts.
Crazy.
You don't want to mess with somebody that has nothing to lose.
But you always lose.
You always lose. Luckily enough, that'll also teach you how to fight with nothing to lose, but play smart. But even still, if you see somebody off the hinges, you should just avoid that as best as possible. So Buddy tries to break into the property management office, and us three, the two ladies and I that are in the office, are bewildered that a person would try to do that, knowing that he's on camera, knowing that he's being watched, and that he lives in the building. Like, you're literally setting yourself to get arrested, charged, and kicked out of the home that you call home, even if it's his apartment.
Yeah.
So we all sit there, the cops come, and you know, the story starts to wrap up. There are 4 cop cruisers. And ironically enough, there was at least 8 or 9 cops. He gets charged. He gets put into a cop cruiser, and I get arrested and put into a cop cruiser. And they look at the footage and they realize the baton came from me, right? Luckily, I had my security guard license, so I was able to make an alibi for myself. But I was gonna get taken down to 34th to the district just so that they could run out my numbers. But it was by the grace of 3 people that came up and mentioned to the officers at that time that I was innocent, that really allowed them to realize, you know what, I'm not even the victim. The third time the third person spoke, the cop came up to me, the supervisor, and he's like, yo, I don't usually do this, but so many people have come up to me and said that you're innocent that I don't even want to bring you in.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it was your weapon. We're gonna take the weapon, but your record is clean. You have a security guard license. We're gonna let you go right on the spot.
Yeah.
So I got to stay home. Right? He got arrested, and the only thing that I can remember outside of that was the fact that there was a cop there, and as they were watching the footage, one of the cops in particular laughed at the footage watching the review of the CCTV, and the fact that the other cops were in bewilderment of the whole scenario. So Buddy gets taken down to precinct. The whole story wraps up. Management looks stupid because I literally pointed out that this will be a problem in the future. And it took me about a few months, I'd say honestly, if I'm real practical, like 6 months, for me to just get my calmness back in me.
Yeah, because like after having such an experience like that, you know, them handcuffing you for no reason. You're a victim in this. This was purely self-defense. And like, you know, by the grace of God, you getting out of that situation that you shouldn't have even been in.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel afterwards? Like, in those 6 months, like, it's a traumatic experience. Were you sad? Were you mad?
Yeah.
Like, explain how you felt during those 6 months.
Dude, if I'm honest and if I can be vulnerable, I felt like complete trash, because I just felt like in that moment I lost that fight. You know, I lost that fight. I wasn't able to put him in his position, because I really wish I could have broken his skull. You know, like that was the real thing, because now he's running around somewhere else, traumatizing people that are also smaller than him, right? Me, you know, just being a bully pretty much. But I thought first off that I can't trust the cops. I can't trust the police, because in the matter that came to a most, it wasn't even them that saved me. It was the fact that people in the building knew my heart, knew my character, and they knew that I was a good person, so they spoke on it, and they let me go. It taught me 3 powerful lessons, man. The power that you have with people and the character that you show with people will always carry weight in different arenas. People will do business with you, and people will vouch for you if you are a good person. And I think young guys out there need to know this, that if you are a good person, if you're kind to your neighbor, if you are respectful of people, they will understand and know how you do business. Not everybody in the world does that the same way, right? So not everybody is good and has morals and lives on a certain set of values. But if you choose to live on that, and you try to speak to the world through that, and you act through that that person, it'll be replicated. The second thing is, and you mentioned this before, always be ready. You know, that was my mistake. I thought I was okay. I thought I could turn my back. I thought I could just run away from the situation. I couldn't. And the fear of not being able to defend myself rattled me so much that I just lived in a paranoia for so long, and I just lived in self-doubt. If I was more aware and ready, I would have been able to kind of face that challenge with more proactiveness.
Yeah.
So that's another factor that I really could have been more aware of.
And it's not even about. Unfortunately, you learned it through having to be paranoid, have that paranoia to be aware of your surroundings, and you'll always be ready. But like me, I didn't go through such an experience, but like I'm always prepared. I'm always vigilant. I know how many exits there are in a room that I'm going to. I know who the biggest guy is. I know who who looks a little bit off. I'm just aware, especially if I'm with my woman. Like I'm not paranoid and I'm not scared, but I just need to know. In order to be in the best position possible if anything were to go down.
Yeah. And dude, I think that that's like the best, like you having that awareness without going through those situations is just a heightened level of strength that I think that all men need to be ready for. Because I needed that at that time, and I just was not willing to look into it. And the fear for me was, this dude can come after me, but what about my mom and my sister who are at home? Right? So this is the reason why, like, for those of you that don't know, I'm so passionate about training and fitness, and that's everything I believe and talk about. Men becoming stronger men, me becoming the strongest protector, because I've been in situations where I really valued and feared for the safety of my loved ones. We had to get a camera and put it at our door because oddly enough, he did come back to the building again. And the same dude.
Damn.
Yeah, and we caught him on camera. So the man really was looking for some type of smoke. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, man, like, really, like, do you really need to be that vengeful of some kid, right, at the time? And I looked young back then, man, 2021.
You look young now, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I look like a child. So, just to think that this grown dude was trying to go rah-rah with, want the smoke with someone half his size, and that there's women that can get involved. It irked me so much, man. And man, looking back at it, I'm really grateful to God for it, bro, because it propelled. Like that was one of the catalysts for why I look at narcotics a little differently, bro. I went to go get rolling papers that day. I was just chilling. I was just living my life. And I got tested and I got taught about survival. And I got taught that, at the end of the day, there will be somebody out there that'll try to take your shit, blame you for something stupid, right? And just will try anything, and you have to be ready for all. And it made me wake up to the reality of what being a man is about. You have to be ready for the inevitable. Just like how you said about like looking at all the exits and knowing who the biggest guy is. I think as a man, you do need to have that ready. You do need to be trained. You do need to be aware of the ramifications of what can happen in every scenario. I remember how I told you about how he took a picture of me, right? He used that picture to fight off his final charge. Because when they looked at the picture, the cops, they're like, oh snap, so the baton wasn't his, it was yours. So they ended up giving him literally volunteer hours, and he just didn't have to be in the building no more. That's crazy. Yeah, he got away. So even though he had mental issues or whatever, he was crafty about what he was doing. He was smart. So he got away with barely nothing. So I learned, first off, in my city, you can't trust the person that's walking on a sidewalk, because you don't know what is going to happen and what they'll be able to claim. Mans will claim that they're going through problems and they have issues and they have that. Meanwhile, they rob you and they steal you of the things that you have worked hard for your entire life. And it could go as bad as seeing one of your loved ones pass away. So you have to be ready as a man for war. I'm not saying expect it, because when you put that out into the universe, you're going to get that back, right?
Yeah.
But you need to let all the things around you know that you are a man capable of immense violence, but you choose peace. I choose peace, but I'm ready for war. Always. And yeah, man, this story is a story that I don't really tell too many people, so I'm just grateful that I got to share it with you. And
man, that's a crazy story, man. That's a story that I don't think somebody would just forget. It's a story that you'll always keep at the back of your head, just because you learn so much from it. Damn, thank you for sharing it, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's something I wanted to kind of go into with the topic of masculinity, man. For me, if I'm being vulnerable, man, I always felt like I wasn't man enough. I was always small. I was always kind of like the last pick on ball. I was never athletic. So the journey to masculinity for me was like trial and error and life slapping me up. And in that, I grabbed life's hand and I said, yo, no more of that. You know, it's time I fought back.
When did you make that shift? Was it 6 months after that happened, or when did you become, you know, a confident version of yourself, you know, with direction?
Yeah. That's a great question. If I'm real with you, man, like if I'm real with you, bro to bro, I really hated the universe for a bit. I went through a whole stage where it's like I hated the universe, I hated God, and I'm like, bro, like why me? You know, like I just went through that whole victim mode, and I was like, bro, like it could have been anybody else. If I was a little bit bigger, like, you know, whatever. And I had to go through this process of forgiving the guy, not forgiving him for what he did, but forgiving him for me to let it go, to just move on, so that I could start to focus on not allowing something like that to happen again. You know, I started to dress a little less fancy. I started to, you know, I moved my parking spot. I started to look at all areas around me. I started to keep my mouth even more quiet, and I started to keep my mouth shut. And I started to even be a kinder person to my neighbors around me. And it was that shift that, it was the 6 month time frame where I just rewrapped my entire composure, and I became even more of a recluse, not to run away from the world, but to refix how I'm approaching the things around me.
Okay.
You know, and that led me to start to train. It made me drop basketball. Like I decided I don't want to dribble no more. I want to learn how to fight.
Okay.
You know, right? And I want to learn how to defend myself.
Okay.
And it shifted everything for me. And of course now I'm still looking for the BJJ course. I'm still looking to learn Muay Thai, and I'm trying to perfect boxing. Okay. But all the calisthenics that I do now, all the relative strength training that I do now, is all motivated behind the fact that I want to be one of the greatest protectors of my generation. And it all started from that same thing.
That's what's up, man. That's a great story, bro.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting me hear that.
Yeah, man. You know, I wanted to ask you something real quick, man. I know that, you know, being a man in the city, you know, we all have to go through those stripes. What are your stories about, and what are they like with fighting and going through it?
Dude, like, honestly, like, I'm blessed. Like, I haven't had many fights, because the first fight I ever went into, I remember I was in, like, middle school. And, like, you know, it was just, I think we just started playing a little too hard. And then, you know, once I think he hit me in the face first, you know, something a little hard. And it only took one instigator to go, oh, and everybody's seen it. And I crushed him. I manhandled him. I was a strong youth. Yeah. I ragdolled him. So it wasn't anything special. After that, you know, I didn't really get into much fights, because, you know, people seen he does this. He's a strong guy, and I was always, you know, well built. So luckily after that I didn't, and then, you know, further on I actually learned how to fight. I learned how to strike. You know, I took a little bit of Muay Thai, learned how to use my breath. Just all in all, just stayed agile, strong, calculated. Like, yeah.
I think there's lesson in that, you know, being able to avoid scenarios and calculatively train, preparing for war, but not going into it. Yeah. Because I'm different. I've always been the hothead, and the hothead always ends up in calamity. You know, I have worse stories, bro. There's another story. I don't even want to go into this one, but I was in the hospital for a broken orbital bone. Oh yeah, my eye, bro. And I remember that was something that was a crazy fight. I did not do well in that fight, you know. So there's a lot of fights where I learned early on that first I sucked at fighting. Secondly, it's all about who throws the first punch, right? And composure, keeping yourself disciplined and calm in scenarios is a superpower.
The fact that you saying that, like, I'm just thinking about any confrontation that I've had in my life. You know, I'm a capable person. I've like I said, I've trained just because I enjoy it. I like that one-on-one combat. But like, if it comes to an altercation, I am a man of peace. You know, I'm gonna ask you directly, like, what's the problem going on? We're having a good time. You know, why do you want to disrupt that? Like, if there's an actual problem, we can handle it right now. We're gonna be cordial. We're gonna go outside. But like, there's no need for that. I'm a man of peace. I'm gonna use my words as much as possible. But if I have to use my body, then it's not gonna look good.
It's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
That tells me a lot about how you handle tension. You know, how you were raised. you know, and how you handle when things go awry, you know. And I think that when in the topics of masculinity, right, it's important to have that power to be able to settle things instead of blowing them up, right? A man's ability to problem solve, that's literally what being a peaceful person is.
Yeah,
you're settling the problem,
settling it down, making
Yes.
sure that you don't need confrontation. If you can use your words, your words can be very powerful.
Oof.
Learning how to use my words and being a wordsmith, it's very powerful. So
yeah, man, that's golden. I needed to learn that when I was younger. I needed to learn that, first off, not every fight is worth it. Secondly, that your words have power, and that if you don't use those words wisely, and if you're looking to prove yourself in certain settings, and you're not training like Theo was, you don't have that background of being strong, you are literally setting yourself to be a walking tool. So I hope that this video will give you guys some insight on, first off, the aggression side of masculinity. And we got some conversations coming up that'll talk a little bit more on it. I wanted to take it to this realm because I just want to say one important thing, guys, that fighting and violence is not the way. I just want to make that clear. You must defend, you must protect, you must provide, and that is valid. But just bullying or belittling or just walking all over people, it will never give you the satisfaction and the joy of being honorable, being well trained, and doing things for the right reasons. I needed to know this when I was younger. No matter how big I would get, or no matter how many times I dreamed of being 6'3", it doesn't mean that just because I'm able to oppose my physical will on people, that I'm doing things the right way. The same way that dude that was in my situation, he was trying to pick fights with a smaller dude. That don't make him any man at all.
No.
Some guys will think, yo, this guy's the guy because he's looking for fights with everybody. But I see a clown who got kicked out of his house. He was living with his sister. He was taking multiple drugs. I think he was on a welly check. So it's like and now he's, probably in the criminal system. I don't know for sure, but it just ruined his entire family situation, all because he fought some 21-year-old, 22-year-old that had a brand new Honda Civic at the time. So I don't know how that makes sense for you, right? But the part in that story is, man, just make sure you're picking the wisest fight. Make sure you're picking a fight that you can win.
An honorable fight.
And honor is the theme for this year for me. Honor and strength, and there's honor in finding ways to peacefully go through things, just the way that Theo has done. And there's honor in doing good unto other people, the same way I did in my story. And of course, I just want to say one more disclaimer. That doesn't mean that my entire life I'm not going to get into any more fights, or that if no, you always got to be ready to throw hands if need be. Exactly.
It just doesn't have to be your first option.
Exactly. It does not have to be your first option. Guys, it has been an honor and a privilege talking on aggression today with masculinity. And this topic is something that could go so far. I wanted to shed some light on it, and it's always an honor for Theo just to kind of listen to me spew.
Yeah, man. Having me on here is always a great time. It's always vibing high.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes, we got a lot of great stuff coming up ahead. I can't wait for you guys to stay tuned. So if you guys want to check out Theo's content, Theo, where do they go for you?
You can either look up Dub Collective 55 on YouTube or have it in your description box, as well as Captain Dub on TikTok, captain.dub on TikTok, and then Dub Collective, dub.collective on Instagram for more self-growth tips. Take you along my self-growth journey and just different avenues to help you on your own self-growth journey.
Beautiful. That's where you're going to find Theo. We got a lot of great stories and topics up ahead.
Yeah.
This is Ethan and Theo signing out.
Doses.
Peace. All right.